This is the last day I can do hedge trimming by the laws. I think it's the Wildlife Act or something. End of February, 29th of Feb, so you're seeing this a bit later than when I filmed it. So I'm going to go hedge trimming, well, this afternoon. I've got a few jobs to do around the farm. There's the hedge trimmer on there for the last day. I'll leave it on there and drop it off later. But I thought I'd just do a bit of a catch-up about the forage situation, because although we got a horrific wet winter and it's been rubbish, my blessing is I've got plenty of forage left, and more than I thought I'd get, actually. It'll just spin round. Look, so here's the silage left. I've got about a bay and a half. There's the line of half a bay, and half of that, but a fair amount of silage. They're eating this well. It's been tipped in the ring feeders. Bit of waste on the top, not too bad on the shoulders. So plenty of forage there. There's the protein over here. We had that delivered the other week. That's the last lot of protein we'll buy, because it is expensive. But there's a sugar beet nuts. They always sort of seem to fall to the bottom with the weight. But you can probably see there's some soya in there, some raped meal. I think the soya is the more yellowy colour, the pellets. That soybean meal, that would be the meal that would have been sort of byproducts, if you like, of if you produce soya milk for the old vegans and everything, or you take soya protein, the husks and things like that, the residue would be in the food mix. So the food mix for cattle. So actually, you vegans, if you're watching this, you're providing the food for the cattle that you despise. But hey, hell of a thing, isn't it? Right. We're going to have a look at the grass silage as well, and then we'll have a look at the round bales that I've got, what's left. We got, I don't know, it's probably 6 weeks till turn out, 5 weeks, it depends on the weather really. It's still flipping wet. But let's go and have a look at the clamp next door. All right, so that's where the maize goes. We stick that out in the afternoons and mornings in there. Ooh, they've pretty well polished that off. But they're also on self-feed silage. I put some silage in here. I don't think there's any left now. They're getting on lunchtime. There's not much left in there. They're pretty well picked over that. So they're eating the silage off the face. Then I always put plenty down, so there's still some there. Look, if they want it, they can eat it. They also look like one there's picking at the face. Lovely silage. Lovely silage. Smells nice. Not much waste on the top. Really good. And we've still got 2 bays left, which is a kind of breathing space for us. So I reckon a bay a month for the year, maybe a little bit less. Not for the year, for the season. So sort of from November right through till April really. We'd probably just use 3/4 of a bay a month, something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bays. So you got November, December, January, February, March, April. Well, we use half of April, so it's five bays for 5.5 months. So it's probably just about 3/4 of a bay. This year, because we had plenty of maize, we've been giving them a bit more maize. We slowed them down on the silage there. So I think we're going to have quite a bit left. Once the maize runs out, you see, what we do, we tend to take it out with a loader bucket, stick it in the ring feeders for them to eat. So their input of silage will go up. But last year we had, this is really interesting, Claire Sampson texted me. Last year we had 14 loads of maize silage in that clamp. Last year before last, 14 loads of maize silage. This year we had 20 loads. So you can see a considerable increase, purely because there was no drought last year. The year before was a horrific drought. So the fact that we've still got maize left means that we're slowing right down on the silage. The cows kind of prefer the maize really. I think it's probably a nicer taste for them. Easier to get to from the ring feeders as well. So it slows them down on the silage, like I said. So we're fine for silage. This is really good. Do you know, some winters I'm kind of getting to that stage where I'm looking at what we got left and being slightly bit worried. And I think a couple of years ago when we were grazing late in the spring, we were right out almost on dust on the back, and I think we were buying round bales in, if I remember correctly. But that's not something we're going to have to do this year. So anyway, we're going to go along. Let's see how many round bales we got left, because we're feeding those to dry cows, heifers, and small heifers, the round bales. They're stacked along the road. I'll just put out, this morning I put out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 round bales. Those last sort of 2 or 3 days probably. So we've still got a way to go on those, and quite likely I think what I've got left, I'm going to run out of round bales. But that's not a problem because we can feed them silage from the clamp. But while we're along there, we'll also look at Harry's latest purchase, because Harry has got wheels. Right, let's go. Right, what's behind me? Ooh, something there. We're going to have a look at that in a minute. That's Harry's purchase. Right. Alright, just so let's before we go and look at Harry's crazy idea purchase, you can see behind me. Let's have a look how many bales we got left. So spin it round. We've got a good lot here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 11 there. And then there's all these here. So we have got a fair stack of bales there, which maybe won't see us all the way through. I ought to count them, but to be honest, I always lose track. There's 5 there. There's quite a few. I don't know, how many bales do you think are there? How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 that way. There we go. 7 that way, by quite a few that way there. Do you know what, I always get bale counting wrong. I can never get it right. Right, I'm going to take one of those back in a minute, but there's probably getting on 100 there, I would have thought, wouldn't you? So I think that'll see us through for quite a while. Right, let's have a look. I'm going to spin this camera around in a minute. It's exciting times for Harry because he's got wheels. He has got wheels. Look at this. Harry has got a Honda Civic. I'll tell you why it's parked here in a minute. So this is Harry's purchase. He's very excited to be a proud owner of a Honda Civic. Although he wasn't really worried what car it was, he just wanted a car. So this is Harry's car, and you probably already guessed it's an MOT failure. So we bought this off a friend of mine for scrap value. Harry's going to have that for the summer as his farm vehicle. Farm manager, you know, got to have a company car, haven't you? So the farm manager now has a company car, and if you're wondering why it's there, it's because of me. I failed. I brought it along the track there to try it out here, drove about 100 yards and got it stuck. I should be honest, I should have known better, shouldn't I? But got it stuck there. I'm going to move it later. We're going to just put a rope on it, pull it out and move it, but it's stuck. But anyway, it wasn't an appropriate time for Harry to rally around in the fields anyway. It's a summer car, so we're going to just park it up till things come right with the weather, whenever that is. And then it'd be good for Harry, and it'd also be good for Jack actually, because Jack is 16 in August. He's only got a year till he starts driving, so the reality is he needs to get a little bit of car practice, and what better place to learn on than in the middle of a field where he can't do any damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set him up a few bollards and things like that, and he can practice a bit of reversing and parallel parking, which you can't really do. At 16 you certainly can't do that on the road, but it won't matter here, will it? Harry in the meantime will be razzing around like a lunatic. He's already got plans for beacons, flashing lights, God knows, I don't know. You know what he's like. Anyway, I mean, the good thing is as well, we bought it, when we finish with it, we'll sell it and we'll probably get our money back on the scrap value, because cars these days are worth a fortune. What's really funny is it's all flipped on its head, because when I was younger, I lived in Thornbury, and in the street I live, people would dump cars, because it cost money in those days to get rid of them. So they would drive them to my street, take the number plate off, park them up and just leave them. And then the council would take them away for free because they were obviously clearing the roads. Because if you took it to a scrapyard, they'd actually charge you to take the car there. Whereas now, I think probably 150 or more to get rid of, you'll get paid for a car. So anyway, that's beside the point. So that's Harry's vehicle. I'm going to just get a bale and we're going to head back. And then I'll be out hedge trimming this afternoon. We'll have a look at that. That's it, I'm back down the fields with the hedge trimmer. As I said, last day I could do it. It's not a good day. Look at, can you see the marks I'm leaving behind me over there, look, over my shoulder? I shouldn't really be out here. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't even consider being out here if it wasn't for the fact this has been, hasn't been trimmed for 2 years in my 2-year rotation of hedge trimming. And I'm gonna have to leave it for year 3, which will be next year, if what I don't get done today. I can honestly see that it's not gonna happen. I've got 3 fields to do. This one in itself, probably the driest field, and I'm leaving wheel marks here. The fields over there, really wet. I can't even drive on them. I've got no chance. So I'll finish off what I can today, and then that's it. But I read in the Times on Saturday that it's been the wettest February for, I think it was something like 180 years, and parts of the south have had twice the annual rainfall for February. And I can vouch for that. It just hasn't stopped raining. And if you're a farmer, you know what that's like. You're starting to come into your springtime now where you want to get stuff ready. You want to get your muck out, you want to get fertiliser on, you want to repair your fences for when the cattle are out. You want to finish the hedge trimming. And the frustration, I speak to many farmers. I was at a meeting last night where I was chatting to a bunch of farmers. And generally consensus was what a pain it is this year. More than anything, you know, you're frustrated because you're stuck on your base, not being able to do anything much other than feed and the daily routines. And the daily routines are just, you know, you don't feel like you're achieving a lot really, unfortunately. I don't know about you, but in this job, what gives me the buzz is actually trying to achieve stuff, get on and do things, which is basically stuff like this, which is, you know, actually physically doing something like hedge trimming or repairing a fence, or like I did the other day, I changed the starter motor on the tractor. You know, you feel like you're progressing or at least getting somewhere. When you're just doing routine feeding and stuff, it's just a day in, day out job, a bit like going shopping every week to fill your fridge. You know, instead of getting on with maybe creating that wonderful garden that you want to do or whatever. So there's a lot of pent-up frustration in the farming community at the moment. And that's just the weather. Let's not talk about what's going on in Wales and all the protests in Europe about the way that regulation's going, because there's a hell of a lot of further pent-up frustration out there, I can tell you that now. Right, let's see how we go with this. Right, cracking on with that. You can see here, this field is I'm not really leaving any marks now. So what I'm finding is where I'm going out in some of the bits of the field, you've got some bits like this that are draining quite well, not a problem. And then you've got the lower lying bits that are just, the water sat on the surface, and I'm leaving big ruts. I'm not leaving any marks now, you see, but it's too late for me now, isn't it? By the time the other fields have dried out where there is water lying, it's going to be second week of March, and you're supposed to stop hedge trimming end of Feb, so realistically that's it for me now. So this oak tree here, we just stop. So that's an oak tree that I left. So probably 10 years ago I left that oak tree. That was just a couple of twigs growing out of the hedge. And look at it now, just starting to get substantial. I talked about trees the other day, I don't need to go on too much about it, but that's a beautiful oak tree now that is starting to form a sort of feature on the landscape. God, it's hot. I'm boiling. That's the other thing about it being so wet, it's been mild as well. So we haven't really had any frosts and stuff. I'm not sure where we're going to go with disease and pests next spring, or later in this spring, because things like flies and that kills off a lot of flies when it's frosty, but you're going to do that now. Right, let's carry on. So I just stopped to show you the water on the ground, look. Yeah. See what I mean about the water on the ground? Right, I'm going to pack up in a minute and go home, but I just thought I'd stop here because this is quite a nice little spot. This is a corner of the field that I fenced off. Oh, so you know, time goes by. I can't remember exactly how many. Say 15 years ago. Let's just guess 15, maybe 20 years ago. And at the time, it was just like a little unproductive corner we could afford to lose. So what we did, we put in some very small saplings. So we got evergreen oak in there. I put an ash in there. There's some hazel. There's a couple of normal oaks. There was a horse chestnut. I'm not sure if that's still there. And there's a holly as well. So it's like a bit of a mix. It's sort of a wildlife corner, really. It's grown up quite a bit now because the trees are all planted very close. They've gone very thin and tall. So I don't know whether really I'll probably thin them out. But actually, do you know what? I quite like the fact that they're like they are. So we'll have a quick look in there in a minute. Just over there on the other field where I was going to go. Look, I said earlier about how wet it is. Look, you can see the water on the surface there. And that's nothing to do with, before anyone jumps in, that's nothing to do with me not having good drains in it. That field was drained probably 20 years ago, a really good system of drainage put in there. But you can't, if you've got a bottom of a bath, and the plug hole's blocked, you're not going to drain it, are you? And the plug hole is really the streams and rivers leading off the ditches here that the government and the drainage boards don't clean out anymore. Anyway, Let's go and have a look at this a minute. All right. All right. So you can see the fence I put there. It's interesting because you see the hedge there, just there. It curved round and went to. If you look right in the back, there's an ash tree right at the very back. You can't really see it. It's quite a big ash tree at the back. So effectively, the hedge went that way. The other hedge came that way, and then I just fenced across the front. Look, and you can see one of the plastic tubes down there. Look, can you see it on the floor? Let's just come off this. So this is an ash. I've got a feeling that's dead. Yeah, look at that. I'm sure that's, look at the way that snaps there. So you can see it's dead, can't you? Look. So just as that ash tree's got into a decent size, ash dieback's got it. I'm sure that's ash dieback. Probably snapped it off actually. Look, nearly. So sadly that's a sapling of ash that's dead. I have noticed that the saplings seem to suffer more than the mature trees. So that's one dead tree in this bunch, which kind of means, all that means is more space for the rest. So what we've got here, yeah, it's definitely a bit crowded in there. Let's have a look. You can see there's a holly in the back there. There's another holly here. In amongst it is blackthorn that's filling the void, look. Look, and you can see, look, can you see the plastic tube on the floor there? There's a plastic tube there. Just there, come off the holly, look. Once it's pinged off, that's probably, that tube there is probably off the ash. Now that's a hazel I put in. That's done really well, hasn't it? Huh. Can you see the plastic tube still caught round it in the middle, look? There it is, it's still in the void. I need to go in there at some point and pull them off. Now I'm pretty sure in the back of here I put a horse chestnut, but there's no sign of that. I noticed some dead elms. We've got an oak there, a very straggly thin oak. Look, can you see it's reaching up to get ahead of all the rest? Look, it's still got its leaves on even though it's end of Feb. Look, quite amazing really. Now that's straggly at the moment, but that's good in a way because it'll get height and then it'll fill out. Another holly at the back there. So I must have put 3 hollies in here. Hazel, ash. This is an interesting thing. This isn't really natural to our farm, and I'm not sure, someone can tell me better than I know. This is an evergreen oak. Now certainly in our area you don't really see these in the wild. Look, evergreen oak. So that leaf, even though it's winter, spring, well, winter I guess, still got leaves on it. It's an evergreen oak, and we haven't got any of those anywhere else on the farm. There's another holly there. There's another oak. Now that's probably a little bit better for that one. It's got the space around it, just being on the edge here, so it's not grown as tall and skinny as the other one. But I'm pleased with this little area really. I mean, eventually I might take the fencing down. The cattle can sort of wander around it, I suppose. They wouldn't hurt it. But it's almost a little bit of woodland, a coppice as you might say, for shelter for the wildlife, the birds, you know, anything, deer, foxes, whatever, go in there. You gotta leave space for nature. You know what I'm like. I bang on about this all the time. But if you take a living out of a farm, I think you should leave a bit of space for nature, because you've earned your living out of the land. Put a bit back in the land. So there's a little corner here. There's no loss to me on the production wise. Some people see that as a mess. I see that as just a little bit of habitat for something, because I get the enjoyment of seeing the wildlife around the farm in my day-to-day job really. But you've got to kind of like want to feel like that really. You're either, I see this on different farms, you know that all this kind of stuff about sustainability and the battle against arable versus
livestock farming for the environment and stuff, I really think that judgment is wrong, in the fact that really it's not livestock versus arable, if you like, or it's whether the person who runs that farm cares about the environment. Because you can grow crops and have fantastic ecosystems on that farm, or you can grow crops and it can be a desert for wildlife. And exactly the same with livestock farming. If you care about the environment and trees and plants and things, you'll have a rich environment on that livestock farm. If you don't care about it and it's not something you're interested in, you'll flail your hedges to the floor, you'll spray every little bit of weed out, you won't bother with corners like that. You know, so okay, they bang on about different things of methane and stuff, but the bigger picture is really who's managing that land, in my opinion, and I can see that going around the countryside. Anyway, that's I do like the rubbish. I ramble on, but you know, if you want to look on a smaller scale, walk up at your street and look at people's gardens, and I can tell you what, people's gardens are the same level as farming, in the fact that whether you care about it or not, some people have decided to tarmac it and some people have decided to have flower borders and trees. You know, that's just farming on a smaller scale with the environment. Right, let's go. I'm heading back now. All right, crack on everyone, see you soon.